Is he a men pleaser? Is she a men pleaser? This is one tricky character trait, one vibration of character that is really deceptive. Not only to the person who has it and demonstrates it, but also to those who accept it unwittingly, unknowingly, deceptively. Being a men pleaser is self-deceptive, and it deceives other people. It masquerades as love. Many times men pleasers are considered very loving people, loving man, loving woman, loving child, and they're very gifted in trying to please people. All right, but the number one problem with it is it's fake love. I've seen young people, young adults, and others really warm up to a men pleaser. One young woman, teenager, who just loved this one person and just went up and sat next to the person, put their arm around the person, and just really wanted to be near that person. And that person is a men pleaser. But it seems like a very loving person, but it's really not. And there are reasons for that, and I'm going to explain them and point them out. But let's just talk about what a men pleaser is. It's somebody that can't say no, typically, that always tries to please people. And there's reasons for that. They're very sensitive to other people's feelings. All right, they just want other people to have what they want. And what it really means is that man pleaser, man or woman, has no conviction, no solid footing inside their heart. They're not convinced of anything in general. So they won't take sides. That's why they won't take sides, because their character vibe of being a men pleaser, being pleasant, overrides any other good character trait like faithfulness. What I mean by faith is conviction, being sure and certain and bold about it, being able to defend your belief for good reasons in public to a person, having conviction, having standards, being able to say no because you have principles that you adhere to. It's kind of like the saying, if you don't stand for anything, you'll fall for everything. And that's what a men pleaser is open to, everything. And so it pretends to be loving. And young people or unwitting people or older people or naive people, they don't see it for what it is. They see it as love. They think this person loves me. They're so kind to me. And it's usually people with the best bedside manner, so to speak. Like if you're going to be a doctor, they say you got to have a good bedside manner. Not all of them do, because they don't have compassion. They have other talents, very meticulous, some of them. Like they're very precise, which can come off cold-hearted. Not that they're cold-hearted, but there are doctors that are very compassionate. They have that vibe very strong. But men pleasers typically come across very compassionate. And the really deceptive thing about being a men pleaser, self-deception, is they're cowards. They're actually cowards. They're missing the good character vibe of being brave, of being courageous, of being valiant, because they won't stand up for anything. Or they might stand up for you to protect your feelings, but it's not contextually what I'm talking about. They just are cowards. They're afraid. They're cowards. It's something that it just can't be accepted. And when I read the scriptures, the gospel, God hates men pleasers. And you say, well, God doesn't hate anybody. Men pleasers aren't going to be saved. It says there were many that believed in Jesus because Jesus was wonderful. There were many that believed him, but because they liked the praise of men, they liked to please men, they wouldn't confess him because they'd be kicked out of the church, the synagogue. They would be rejected. They didn't want to suffer for their belief. They're cowards. They're men pleasers. These people cannot be saved because they don't They're a men pleaser. You see the problem? God knows when we're a men pleaser. He knows when we're authentically loving and just pretending to love people because we're cowards. We're afraid of them. We just want them to have everything they want. We want them to be happy. We don't want to correct them or oppose them or anything like that. So these are typically people that can't say no. They can't say no to people. They can't turn them down. And it presents the men pleaser with a big problem. They're going to burn out because everybody's going to want their attention. Everybody's going to want that kind of treatment. And eventually he has to go hide away for a while, get away from people, become a hermit. I mean, that's kind of the conduct that happens. And so don't fool yourself. If you have a lot of compassion for people and you have very much ability to help people, like very resourceful, you will be tempted, if you have either one of those character traits, which are good, the gift of help and the gift of compassion, like really strong in that, really showing that in your personality towards others, you're going to be tempted to be a men pleaser. And, there's a time when you need to quit wagging your tail. You're like a dog that wags its tail all the time. Everybody loves a dog like that, except mean people. We know evil people are just messed up. But in general, you've got to quit wagging your tail. You have to step back from what you really want to do, what you really feel, and develop yourself in other good characteristics, in other good ways. You need to learn to be right and just and be a good judge, because typically men pleasers are terrible judges. If you go to them to resolve a dispute, you're not going to get righteousness or justice. You're going to get partiality. You're going to get personal favoritism. You're going to get a person that can't judge because he doesn't know who to please, and there's two people and he can't please both. He probably won't say anything. He'll say, "Oh, you're both right." I've had that. I've seen that happen. I've heard it happen, and I've seen it. And it happened in Texas in a big group I was in. One of the leaders had that character trait of men pleaser, and there was a dispute, and the leader said, "You're both right." They weren't both right. There's a problem. And it happened in another place in Pennsylvania. There was another discussion going on, and the moderator said, "You're both right." No, because the person is a men pleaser. You can't get a good conclusion from those kinds of people. They're going to frustrate you when you really need justice, all right, and something that's correct, because they're not into what's correct. They're into seeing how you feel, and then that's correct for them. So don't think, you got to watch people's love. What kind of love is it? Is it men-pleasing love? Is it authentic love? Is it agape love? Is it the highest level of love, which includes love does not rejoice in unrighteousness? Can the person express displeasure to you of what you did? If you did something wrong, are they expressing their disgust for what you did? Typically, they can't do that. Men pleasers can't do that because they're afraid of what you think. They're cowards. Stop being a coward. Stop gravitating to cowards that are men pleasers that are really cowards. Do you want to be around people that aren't valiant, that aren't courageous? I mean, what's that going to do for you? It's going to trick you. You're going to be inflated. You're going to be arrogant. Don't be a men pleaser, and don't be fooled by a men pleaser. When you identify that you're one or someone's one, you need to understand that this kind of a person has conviction issues. They aren't really convinced of anything inside. They are cowards, and they can't control their other character traits that are good, compassion and help. They can't control that. They don't know how to balance it out. They don't know how to complete it. They need other character traits that help them do what's right, to do what's good, to do well, to behave properly in a good way. So, I hope you understand, and I hope you do not gravitate to men pleasers.